Okay, one final test. Receiving the signal wirelessly, no coax hookup. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the basement shop. Today's project is going to be the Blonder Tongue Agile Modulator. Just purchased this one a week or two ago. We're going to use it here in the basement to transmit signal to our vintage TVs. Here's a look at some of my TVs that I'm going to be using this on. All of these sets, I have these hardwired with coax coming in. I have splitters on each shelf, so that works fine. And here's what I'm using to do that. Just an AV to RF modulator. And I'm coming through a distribution amp just to boost the signal. And there's the coax that runs across the room. Once I get this hooked up, I may use them with a wireless signal. I'll see how that goes. But I definitely need something for these sets because they're out on the other side of the room, and yeah, I could stretch coax across the floor, but it would be a lot nicer if I just had the wireless signal. Now, this is a model AM60-550. The 60 refers to the output in dBs. The 550 refers to the frequency range, and that's more than enough for what we're going to be doing. The output channel on the modulator can be changed. There's just a series of switches here in the front that you put in the correct position depending on the channel you want to output. Now I have plugged this up and it does power on, but before we put this into use, I want to remove the top cover and check out some electrolytic capacitors that are known to go bad in the power supply. So let's do that next. And we have one that's swelled at the top. I think you can see that where it's pushed up. So there's two of these 1000 mics. We definitely need to change both of those. This circuit board has to come out, and it has star head screws. So I have my bit, a 1/4-inch drive, and we have a heat sink that runs along the edge of the board, and Phillips head screws out here that hold it. All right, one more wire right here. We just unwrap it, get it out of the way. Okay, both 1000 microfarads changed. I used 50 volt. Didn't really need to, but that's what I had, so nothing wrong with that. That's a little better than what was in there. Now these are 1000 at 35 volt. I wanted to show you, this is the one that the top swelled up on. So at 35 volts, I can test them with my meter. I'm on a cap scale, 4000 mic or below, and about 400 mic. So supposed to be 1000. All right, let's check this other one. It's not swelled, so it's probably working somewhat. And yeah, it's checking a little more. That's 630. But here's 1000 mic in a new one. And there you go. It's checking about 1200. This meter is not, I'm sure, not totally accurate, but if you compare 1000 mics checking 1300, This 1000's checking about 300 or 400, so both of them are definitely bad. Okay, let's get this put back in. Let me explain how you set the output channel. It can get a little confusing when you see all of these switches here in front of you and even more switches over here. But first we'll start with the switches on the left. Now we're going to be using channel 5, which is broadcast. That's 2 to 13. So we want switch number 1 up, switch number 2 down, switch number 3 down. So that's where we have. We got up, down, down. This offset seems to make no difference, either off or on, so I have it turned off. So up, down, down. Now to set the output channel, we want channel 5. We look on these switches, we're concerned with the ones from this line to the right, the 1, 2, 4, and 8 on the right hand side, because that's channels 0 to 9. If we wanted channel 2, we would slide the 2 up, the other 3 switches down. That'd be 2. If we wanted 3, we would slide the 2 up, the 1 up, the 4 and the 8 down. I think you're getting the hang of what we're doing here. Same thing on channels from 6 up to 9. If we wanted channel 6, we would go 4 and 2 up, 1 would be down, 8 would be down. Now I'm using 5, so I have channel 4 up, channel 1 up, 2 and 8 down. So 4 and 1 is 5. So let me show you the TV. I've hooked it up to my flat screen here up on the wall. That's channel 5. And I'm patching out of the VG91 with just a video source. So there's channel 5. Now let me change this to, let's go channel 6. We have the 4 and the 2 up, 1 and the 8 down. So now let's go to channel 6 on our TV. Now, if you wanted to use this on, say, channel 10, that's where this second set of switches comes into play. You might say, well, I can use 8 and 2. Well, no. See what happens when I push the 8 and the 2 up. That tells me that not a good selection. So what we have to do, first we'll go to 9. Now 8 and 1 is 9. I have an 8 and a 1 up, 2 and a 4 down. Now let's try channel 9. And there's 9. But to use this on channel 10, 11, or 12, or 13, if you choose to do that, you set all of these switches on the right down. And if you want channel 10, you go to this second set of switches and push up on the 1. So that's channel 10. If we want 11, we leave the 1 up for 10, and we add 1 number on the right hand side, so we push the 1 up, and there's channel 11. How about 13? So if we push the 2 up, that should be 13. Let's see if it works. There's 13. Some folks have wondered, well, can you get channel 1 on this? Well, no, you can't. You see I have all of these down, just a 1 pushed up, and a power light's blinking. That's telling me that that's not a good selection. So back on 5, 4 and the 1 up, There's 5. So I hope that explains how you set the switches. And here's an Admiral I've been working on. That's channel 5. Looks good. Just have the matcher clipped on to the antenna lead. And when I'm working on a set, I can still use my VG91 Syncore to output some test patterns. Now I can't use it on channel 5, but I can go to a different channel. I'm on 3, so we'll put the tuner on 3, and there's our test pattern. And now this is across the room. This is a Zenith porthole I recently restored. And here's the other sets on my display here on the wall. That's a 21-inch Traveler. You can see it's working fine. And I have these sets all hardwired with coax, but I'm just using the coax line coming from the Blonder Tongue Modulator and plugging it into one of these splitters. Doesn't seem to matter which one I plug it into. And that's picking up the signal. Okay, one final test. Receiving the signal wirelessly, no coax hookup. The tandem does have a new picture tube, that's why it's a little sharper picture. But they're both working well wirelessly. The tandem just has a matcher on it, and could be the tandem cables acting as an antenna, but it's stable. The pedestal, I do have a short piece of coax attached to the matcher. That seems to make it more stable, acting as an antenna. So before we wrap this video up, let's try this 10-inch Crosley. And working fine. Here's a look at the final hookup. First, the antenna, conventional rabbit ears, plug-in connector into the back of the Blonder Tongue. And I have it extended probably 4 feet, counting both rabbit ears. And then, because the Blonder Tongue worked fine wirelessly and wired, I done away with the other modulator that I had on the wall along with that distribution amp. This is a 2-way splitter. On the input I have a piece of coax, and that's my antenna. That's picking up the signal off of this antenna. One coax going out to the display over there on the wall that I showed you. The other output goes back to the bench, the workbench. And I'm using channel 5. Seems to be working pretty well. It's not perfect, you know. Some couple of the sets it wants to overload, and a couple of them it needs a little more signal, but the sets will vary that much. But all in all, it's working okay. There's my antenna I have over here on that 10-inch blonde. Rabbit ears on the Zenith porthole. And then what I'm thinking about doing over here, I'm thinking about buying some rabbit ears with a 45-degree angle on them, just a rod antenna, and screw it into each one of these splitters. Okay, I think those rod antennas did help. See, I have 4 of them on them splitters. Pretty fair picture on all the sets I have turned on. Dumont really looks sharp. And that may be because it's closer to the coax over here. The Admiral looks good. Locomotive. And the Traveler. And on the top shelf, that Motorola, that's an 8-inch. Playing well. So that's going to wrap up the video on the repair and hookup of the Blonder Tongue Agile Modulator. Thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you did, how about giving us a like and subscribe to our channel? Thanks.